Well, I think character and world are integral, definitely. I don't think they're both interdependent. You can't really have one without the other. The character needs to be in a truly believable world, or otherwise the audience will get pulled out. And you need to have definitely a believable character. So they're definitely one and part of the same organism per se, which is the story. So you can't have one or the other, I don't think. I think when I'm looking over a script, when I'm looking over a script, I'm looking for emotion, whether it's overall emotion of the story or whether it's per scene, the emotion of the scene, and conflict. What is it making me feel? Is there conflict within the scene? I don't like reading a scene, and most writers, this is pounded into writers. Your scenes have to have conflict, but you still get scenes where something happens and the characters agree with each other, or things happen too easy, and I want things to be more difficult for my hero. I want to make sure things just aren't easy for them. That there's emotional points being made, that there's a change throughout the scene, where if it begins one way, it has to end on another end. Positive to negative, negative to positive, things like that. Usually, everything I've worked on so far, the character designers have already, it's already come to me designed. I've been working on a bigger collaborative project where things like that have been decided, but working with the writers, the kernel of almost all those things are in there in the story already, but sometimes it's just a kernel and you need to pull it out a little bit. And sometimes it's about going back to the writers and discussing. I had a acting, directing coach, Judith Weston, and she said, changing a script is the easiest thing to do. Not that writing or writing and changing scripts is easy, but that's the easy solution. It's like, oh, this doesn't work, we need to fix that and change that. But maybe it's just that you don't understand it. So I'll go to the writers and I'll ask them sometime, what am I missing? I don't quite get this. What did you mean by this? After some clarification, maybe I can find out how to make it a little bit stronger. Maybe I do want to change something. Maybe it's tweaking a couple words of dialogue. Maybe it's restructuring a little bit of dialogue, moving one block of dialogue lower to make a build so the point hits later in the scene, things like that. I think on features, writers have a little more time to work on things, but on TV, just the deadline doesn't give the writers the time to bring out the comedy like they should. Or sometimes, comedy is very visual, and you start getting things up on boards, and what was kind of funny in the writing doesn't quite land in the boards, or you have to enhance it in the storyboards, make it more visual. It's a process like everything else. Since I was a kid, I think I wanted to work in film or make movies, and I didn't know if that was directing or what. It was, monster makeup, special effects, and this is all pre-digital. Fascinated with fantasy, I guess, and I was at Pixar for quite a while, and I was an animator, and that was a very fulfilling job. I loved animating. I loved helping to tell stories, but I also started to feel you do something long enough. I'm personally kind of ambitious, and I started to feel a need for something more and more understanding. I started to try and understand more about scenes, what makes a good scene. How, as an animator, can I learn to make this scene more impactful, which led me to studying writing a little bit, and acting and things like that. And that sort of, once I started branching into those things, I started getting a little more curious about not just the scene, but what makes the sequence stronger, what makes a movie stronger. And that led me to taking some courses in directing. I had the opportunity to direct some commercials and things like that at Pixar, write and direct, co-write and direct, to help promote some of the films, Brave and Cars 2. That opened up some doors for me, and it opened up internally and externally. Once you get that taste of not just the small part of animating, which is a major part of making an animated film, but you get into some of the lighting, you get into some of the structure of the entire structure, storyboard to the finished product. I just found that much more gratifying, and I wanted to do more of that. And that led me into some experiences of getting to record some talent for some of the commercials and things like that, and realizing, getting in a room with actors and getting voice recordings, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing, which led me again to this acting and directing coach, Judith Weston, taking some of her workshops about directing actors, and that just fueled the fire even more, and I got even more hungry to make film, from beginning to end, make a product. The opportunity to Troll Hunters came along, and I couldn't pass it up, so I jumped on that, and that's where I am now. We try to push it. We try to push, we're not making it for kids. We're making, I think we're Rodrigo Blas, who's the showrunner, and a few of us have the philosophy still from Pixar of, you're just trying to make something that you would enjoy. You're not trying to market specifically for a particular audience. You're making something that you would enjoy to watch, and that would include like the entire family, from kids up to adults and things like that. I think, the main thing when you're working with actors is to keep them as relaxed as possible. So keep it a playful environment. So it can be pretty loose. Some of the actors like privacy. They don't want a lot of people in the room. They just want to, it's easier for them to focus on the amount of work they have and get through it fast. If there are few people there, some actors don't mind. There's several directors waiting to direct their episodes, and it's a little more lively. For me, it's about being surrounded or having really good, talented people on your crew that you can count on, that can also bring it. And making the work environment free enough for them to feel like there's nothing inhibiting them, so they can really bring what they, bring their goods as well, That way you don't have to interfere too much, you don't have to do too much. It's about stepping out of the way and letting people do what they do best. The commercial world I was under the umbrella of Pixar Disney still, so I was sort of in a safe environment. So I can't imagine what it's like being out in the real commercial world where it's, really, really competitive. But, you have this product, this brand product that's Disney or Pixar with these characters, and you have when you're at a company at Pixar where you've worked on these characters for a long time, like, Remy or the characters from Brave or things like that, you sort of feel a little protective of them. And so you get out the outside world, the commercial world, they want to do certain things with the characters. You're like, no, the characters, they wouldn't do that, because you understand where the characters came from. But it's a juggling act. It's really like, okay, here's the commercial, the idea I've written. You have to clear it with, if it's for the film, like the stuff I did for Cars 2, you have to clear it with the director, you have to clear it with the producer, you have to clear it with Disney as well, you have to clear it with the client for the commercial, you have to clear it with the agency that's working with the client, so you have to jump through a lot of hoops to just get things moving forward. But then again, luckily, because you're at Pixar, that carries a lot of weight, and they tend to listen. I think it's you kind of know it right away. Now looking back on it, because Iron Giant was one of those projects where all of us on it knew that there was something special happening. You had that feeling. And the same thing happened with Troll Hunters. I don't think I knew it going into Troll Hunters. The opportunity to go on to Troll Hunters was appealing for a variety of reasons, but once I started on Troll Hunters, that's when I started to realize it had that Iron Giant feeling, as in like, this is different, this is something special, this is kind of unique. I think that's one of the things you do look for when you're looking for a project or a place to work, is it's the people and the project. It's not so much about the money or things like that, it's the crew, can you get along with them? Are you gonna have a good time? And the project because you're going to be on it for quite a while. It should be something you're willing to fall in love with and invest in. One of the keys to reaching an audience is, no matter what the material is try to find some kind of personal connection to it. You know, whether it's something, I mean, your own life is just rich with, hopefully, with things, people, events that you can pull from, that if you can find something in that script or, you know, the basis of the story that you can relate to personally and convey that to the audience, I think the audience will recognize that because they've had probably similar experiences as well. So they will latch on to that feeling. And I think that's the best way to reach an audience. Just be honest. I find that for me, and I even gave a talk that I called Path of Least Resistance. That's been my method, but I don't think that means taking the easy way. I think that means a certain persistence, but a kind of a gentle persistence. You know your goal, you keep moving your way through it, but if there's something blocking you, you don't have to hammer your head on it. You push on it. If it's still there, maybe you go around it, maybe you go under it. But I think persistence is one thing. And I think you just have to listen to that inner voice in your head when something's telling you that something's not quite right. You know, there's a reason for that, and you need to listen to that voice. So if you're looking for a change in your life, or a change in career, or a change in environment, and something is nagging at you, you know, you got to pay attention to that, because it's probably not going to go away, or if you bury it, you're not going to be very happy. So stay persistent and listen to that voice in your head. Unless they're voices you're hearing in your head, then seek help.